So time to just about 15 minutes past 9. We continue now with one of the top stories that really has been a big part of public discourse and dialogue here in South Africa. And of course, those watching democratic developments here in South Africa. We are speaking here about South Africa being at a crossroads and 30 years into democracy. There have been questions about progress. Undeniable though it has been, there have also been deep, persistent challenges from unemployment and poverty to gender based violence and inequality. In fact, the unemployment figures came in today as well. Shocking figures just in terms of the state and the level of unemployment in this country. So, in the spirit of stalwarts who fought for our freedom, the Stalwarts Foundations Forum, a collective of foundations honoring names like the Moses Kotane, Lilian Ngoyi, Charlotte Maxeke, and others, they've been calling for a citizens-led national dialogue to confront these issues head on. And to speak about this national dialogue that it's set to take place in South Africa, even though several organizations, key organizations, have pulled back who are supporting this. The dialogue starts tomorrow and continues until Friday. So let's hear now from Steve Mashiya from the Moses Kotane Foundation to speak to us about the forum's vision, the lessons that they can draw from stalwarts in the past, and how these dialogues can pave the way for a united and prosperous South Africa. Mr. Mashiya, very good evening to you, and thank you so much for taking the time to speak to us.
A very good evening, and good evening to your viewers at home.
I want to just start with the current state of where we are with this national dialogue. The president obviously making the pronouncement that it will go ahead, despite several organizations, foundations, entities, civil society organizations, some of them were even prominent people who had committed to taking part, pulling out of this. Your thoughts about the value that will be drawn from this? Is there still going to be value given that there have been key South Africans, foundations, organizations that have withdrawn from this dialogue because they say, to put it mildly, say it's going to be an echo chamber. It's going to be another ploy by government just to garner votes, but no dialogue, so to speak, that will take place. Your thoughts about this?
Thank you very much. We, as the Stalwarts Foundations of the our Stalwarts, as the forum, says, we feel that first we need to thank the president for allowing the process to continue, and then also to then note some of the challenges that other foundations have came across, and they have spoke about around the challenges that they foresaw, or they have spoken about, and we don't take that light, but we as the forum feel that it is important that for when there are challenges in a process, it is very important that we don't lose focus of the entire intent of the entire process, because when you look at this national dialogue, it's very important, for the country to then engage honestly and in earnest, moving forward. So we feel there are important, voices that needs to be heard, that actually would assist and help, the country, to move forward. As we always say, there is no government without people. It is a government of the people, and surely it must be a government by the people.
So this is being convened under Section 83 of the Constitution, is understood to be a structured framework that allows for public intervention to be inclusive and deliberate on South Africa's future government. There have been, as I mentioned, 6 legacy institutions that have withdrawn from this dialogue because of what they object to, not only the lack of transparency in terms of financial resources, but they feel that it could have been moved forward because it appears to be rushed at this point. But most importantly, they feel that the conversation should not be led by government. I'd like to hear your thoughts and the thoughts of those that you are in unity with in attending this national dialogue.
Our position is that we need to continue engaging, no matter the challenges that are there. Like I have indicated, we have noted some of those important, observations that have been, brought forth. But we feel the only way to solve problems is to, engage within the very same challenges. And our position as the Stalwarts Foundations Forum is then to say, as the forum, we then foster the position and posture that this whole process must be, people's driven, and it must be, structured from bottom up, not from up down. So, and we can only achieve that when we continue to engage, to make sure that we then, speak to and acknowledge, the fact that we are where we are organizationally and logistically, to make sure that this process continues. But then we can only make sure that it then gets to be steered and redirected accordingly when and once we are part of the entire process.
But do you feel that what you will be attending will be a conversation that is led by the people, a bottom-up conversation?
Yes, we are quite confident based on the brief that we then received on a meeting that we had yesterday about the state of readiness, where it was being made clear, and I think also on the a platform where there was a media, a press statement by the leader of the task interim teams. What is happening is that in our understanding is that this convention is going to lay a ground for the formal, structure then to be engaged and, elected. That we are saying, we are advocating that it should be bottom up and not from up down. And also, we then were briefed on other elements of involvement of government in assisting that this process has to be where it is. And based on the brief that we got, we are quite confident that all is not lost, and with our involvement continuously not necessarily taking over, but strengthening already the work that has been done by the other foundations, that has been part of this process, that we will achieve that what we are then looking for, which is to say this must indeed be a process led by the people on the ground.
So are you suggesting that, to your understanding, this is a precursor almost, the dialogue before the dialogue, to ensure that the foundation is exactly what it's intended to be.
It is exactly as you have outlined in our understanding and brief, and that is why we are confident that it now gives confidence to then say it is not a process that has been planned and then handed over to the people. It is a process that is going to engage the people so that the people are then able to then say, this is the process we want, and this is the structure that we would be comfortable with, and these are the processes that would like the entire process to be undertaken before the actual dialogue can actually commence.
And this is not a criticism of the effort to lay the groundwork for civil society, for citizens of South Africa to lead a dialogue on some of the crises that we're contending with. But one of the biggest criticisms has been that of a bill of 700 million rand. I know the presidency has clarified, according to its office, the funding. But the unemployment figures were released today, and I'd imagine a lot of South Africans thinking, if some of that money could be channeled my way, not only to be able to get a job. I know there are already several grants that South Africans are receiving, but I think there are a lot of South Africans who feel aggrieved because they feel like the price tag is way too steep for something that may not even result in immediate remedial action.
Like I indicated, we cannot, before we engage, either criticize or necessarily, advocate for something that we don't have full facts of, but we note, the general challenges that our communities and our people face. Our country is going through a whole lot of challenges, like you said, issues of unemployment, issues of poverty, inequality, landlessness. There are a lot of issues, gender-based violence. Our communities are struggling with, issues of substance abuse. There are a lot of challenges. And that is why we then feel as the forum that when we then participate and lead in influencing the structural outlook, would assist in making sure that the challenges that are faced by our country are then being taken care of and being addressed. When you talk about issues of the possible funds that has been in the mainstream around a lot of money, like you are indicating, the brief that we received is that it's for that reason that government looked in ways that there could be cost cutting. That is why when they actually briefed, they indicated to us that some of the services logistically that will be provided will be not necessarily be paid for, will be services that would be sponsored by some of the companies and organizations.
And then, Mr. Mashiya, finally, what you are saying with the various foundations that you are aligned with and you're going into this dialogue with is that you say you don't want scripted narratives, you want brutally honest conversations. Given the many social ills, particularly the lawlessness that we face that has led to murder, abuse of women and children and the elderly, and so many myriad others, South Africans don't feel safe. And as we mentioned, the poverty levels, the socio-economic challenges we face. What would that sound like when we say brutally honest? We want a constructive conversation, but what would brutally honest sound like?
in our view, brutal honest is we need to, as people, before as organizations and before as government and before as representatives, we need to be honest and take stock of our country, where it comes from, where it is, and where we want it to go to. And have, like you indicated, that it's our statement, brutal and honest engagements that talks to issues of corruption, that talks to issues of service delivery, that we feel government by now would have done far more better than it has done, and still acknowledging the work that government has done, but saying there is a lot that still can be done, so that the lives of our people and the future generations can be safe.
All right. Thank you very much for speaking to us, Dr. Mashiya. Much appreciated. And of course, we will be keeping a close eye on those developments as the talks, that national dialogue kicks off at UNISA tomorrow and continues until Friday. That's Steve Mashiya from the Moses Kotane Foundation, part of the Stalwarts Foundations Forum, that will be attending those talks.
The Upside.